Starting your recruitment agency, what are the essentials? What are the things that you need to get in place? In this video, I'm going to cover absolutely everything you need just to start your recruitment agency. I'm going to cover how you get candidates, how you find clients, how you make placements, what type of recruiter you should be, and what niche you should consider picking. So with that said, let's get straight into it. Now, before you run off actually starting your agency, you need to lay the groundwork a little bit. You need a website, you need a LinkedIn profile, you need a business bank account, and potentially business insurance. Now, where a lot of people go wrong is they'll spend a load of money on a website. Some people come into my group and they'll say, look, I've just spent £1,000 on a website, it's going to be ready in 2 weeks. Realistically, when you're just starting out, you should be only spending £30-40 on your recruitment website. You shouldn't be spending a lot of money. Okay, you just need something that gives you a little bit of legitimacy. You're not looking for an all singing, all dancing recruitment website with a job board, with vacancies, with the client section, all that sort of stuff. Your clients are going to receive an email from you or message. They're going to Google your company. They're going to click on your website. They're going to scroll for 2 seconds and go, it's a recruiter's website. That's all it is, okay? So don't spend a lot of money. Don't spend a lot of time on it. Just get it looking half decent. Your LinkedIn profile is much more important. This is where you actually want to spend a lot of your time, okay? You want a nice, clear photo, wearing a suit, looking professional. Not one with you drinking with all your mates, okay? A business bank account, obviously you don't want to be taking money into your personal bank account. Your clients aren't going to like it, they're probably not going to pay into it, and you don't look very professional. So don't do it. Go and get a business bank account set up. It's quick and easy to do. Now, business insurance, because this is one most people are always curious about. When it comes to business insurance, if you're doing perms, you're probably okay. You don't really need it for the first few years. The first 3 or 4 years of my agency where I was just doing perms, I didn't get any business insurance because all I'm doing is making introductions to a company. I'm not employing workers. I'm not getting involved in that type of stuff. If you're doing temporary and contract recruitment, then you 100% need to get some business insurance in place. Now, in terms of your terms of business, essentially the contract that dictates how much you're going to get paid, when the client's going to pay you, and all the other things that are involved, your business does need to get some terms of business in place, okay? Don't overthink it. You don't need a 10-page, master sheet prepared by a solicitor or anything like that. You can just Google it. You can get some offline, put in all your name, put in your company's name and the company number, that type of stuff. And that will do just for now. Go and get a template off the internet, put into ChatGPT, have a play about with it. You don't really need to go spend a few £100 getting a solicitor to write it for you, okay? All you want to do is make sure it's pretty clear on who gets paid what, when they need to pay, the dates, that type of stuff. Nice and clear. Doesn't need to be too complicated. Now, in terms of finding candidates, there's a few ways of doing it. And one of them is a thing called a job board. Now, if you've ever uploaded your CV and applied for a job on like Indeed, CV Library, Monster, those types of places, your CV gets stored by that company. And how these businesses make money is by allowing your CV to be searched by recruiters who pay a subscription. So CV Library, they charge like £300-400 a month, and that allows recruiters to be able to search their CV database, download candidates' CVs, and then from there you've got their personal details, their phone numbers, their email addresses, and so on. And then you can obviously call them and tell them all about your vacancy. Job boards are really, really useful, but the only downside is they are really expensive. You're going to be paying about £4 to £5 per CV download. Now, I think that is definitely true with CV Library. They charge about £4 to £5 per CV download. So it is something that you're going to consider. But if you're placing candidates who are potentially £8,000-9,000 fees, then a couple £100 a month on a job board is a pretty good return. But it's definitely something you need to consider when starting out, is whether you should be spending your money on a job board instead of using free resources. Now, you can be 3 types of recruiter and you can work in 3 different sectors really. You can either do permanent, contract or temporary. Permanent recruitment is what I think is probably the easiest way to go when you're just starting out. And this is simply just making an introduction to a client from a candidate. So you find a candidate, you introduce them to the client. Should that person then go on, get interviews and get placed into that business, you would charge a one-time fee to the company, and it's usually about 15 to 20%. So if you used to place a candidate on £50,000 a year, 15% of that would be £7,500. That's exactly how much you would invoice to the client as a fee. Contract and temporary recruitment are a little bit different. These work on a margin basis. So in contract recruitment, it's when an employer wants somebody, but they don't want them on a permanent basis, but they still need them to complete a project, to finish out a contract, and this could be anywhere from like 3 months up to about 2 years. So in IT, in construction, you have a lot of contractors who work almost on a permanent basis, but they're paid on a day rate. And how a recruiter makes money on this is the client will say, I'm looking for an engineer, I want to pay £350 a day. And then you would have to go out to the market, try and find a candidate for probably about £290, £300 a day, place them into the business, and then you would charge £350 per day as a total invoice. And from that £350, you would pay £300 to the candidate, the engineer, and you would keep £50 per day as margin. So add that up over the course of a month, that's about £1,000 in margin you'd be making from one candidate. Now, you could easily, after a year, 18 months of recruiting, have 10, 15, maybe even 20 men out working on a contract basis, each earning you £50 a day in margin. Where temporary differs is that you're still doing it on a margin basis, but this is for short-term work, and it's usually lower skilled, sort of like labourers, ground workers, industrial staff, drivers, just usually work where companies just need it very quickly, or they've just had a large order come in and they might need 20 people to come in and process it, something like that. And it's very similar in terms of how you earn money, but you do it on an hourly basis instead of a daily basis typically. So they might say, we want to pay a labourer £13 an hour. You would have to find a labourer and pay them £11, and you would keep the £2 as margin every single day. So if that makes sense. And then in terms of niche and your sector selection, where a lot of people go wrong when it comes to picking your niche and sector within recruitment is that they'll come to me and they say, I'm a construction recruiter, I'm an IT recruiter. But construction and IT are absolutely massive sectors. Every single sector has 20 plus niches within each of them. Let's take construction, for example. You could do civil engineering, you could do utilities, you could do groundworks, housing, private housing, residential living, building, RC frames, tin frames. There's so many different sectors, niches within a sector. And then from there, you can also do permanent, contract and temporary within each of those niches. When I first started out, I worked within the construction sector, doing the groundworks niche, just in the middle of England, okay? So a very small niche, probably only about 400 or 500 companies total. I only needed to make 10 to 15 placements per year to earn 100, 200k a year. So you don't need to spread yourself too thin. Focus on a specific niche, try and dominate that niche, forge relationships, and then you're able to build up a candidate pool of everybody who works in that niche. So every time you have a role come in, you don't have to constantly keep recruiting, because you already have a pool of candidates who you can call up and go, look, I know you said you was looking a month ago, I've just had this role come in, would you be interested in hearing more about it? Now, in terms of actually generating business, once you picked a niche and you picked a sector, there's two main ways you can go about it. The typical route is just what we call vacancy-led. This is where you go and acquire a vacancy from a client. They give you all the job details, the specifications, how much they're looking to pay, and so on. And then you go out to the market and try and recruit candidates for that specific role, arrange the interview, and so on. The way I prefer is actually candidate-led. This is where, by working in a specific niche, I learn what that sector and what that niche and the companies within them really desire. Each sector and niche usually has two roles that are always in demand. So in construction and in the groundwork sector, I knew if I got a really good QS or a really good estimator, I could then go and approach businesses and they would be really receptive to hearing about it, because there's always a lack of good estimators. They don't tend to leave that much, and they're on high salaries as well. So companies are really interested in getting these people on board because there's just not that many of them and they don't come up that often. So by working in a particular niche, you get to learn what is in demand by your market. And from there, you can just go and find a superstar candidate who you know, if you was to put them to enough companies, you'd get 3 or 4 who would say, yes, I'd like to interview this person. It's a really good way to build relationships quickly. And it's a really good way when you're just starting out and you haven't got any relationships, go and find a superstar candidate and use that candidate to open up doors for you, because you will get vacancies, you will get clients, you'll get terms signed, and you might even make a placement just from the first guy that you get on your books. So it's really, really important to actually go and study your specific niche. KPIs is something that people probably don't want to hear about too much, but unfortunately, recruitment is a sales role. And in all sales roles, KPIs are extremely, extremely important because it's the only way you can reliably predict how much money you're going to be making. And what I mean by that is if you show up every single day and you have 60 meaningful calls every single week that progress your business forward. So I'm not talking about dials. I'm not talking about conversations where they say, I'm not interested right now, trying to get you off the phone, or Jim's not in, why don't you call back later? This isn't moving your business forward. Moving your business forward would be a call where they give you a vacancy, they tell you some information about their recruitment process, how much they spend on external agencies every year, how many people they hire, what they always like to see from their candidates, that type of stuff. If you're having 60 of those conversations every single week, you're going to be moving your business forward constantly. You're going to be developing relationships, you're going to be learning about your clients, you're going to be learning about your industry. So it's really important to try and do 60 meaningful calls a week. And that might mean you're dialing the phone 200, 400, even 500 times per week. But you've got to do it when you're just starting out. And in terms of low-hanging fruit, being active on LinkedIn is probably some of the lowest you can do. Posting 3 times a day, connecting with 100 new people every single week, sending 100, 200 DMs every single week. This is really easy stuff that can be automated and you can be scheduled like on a Sunday night. So then you don't have to think about it during the week. You can send 2 posts out per day advertising roles, and you could do one which is like a news story or something topical, something, maybe just to drive some viewership, that type of thing. But it's really easy to do. You can automate it all away. Go and have a crack at it. Now, once you're starting to do that many calls, you're starting to post so many times on LinkedIn, you're going to be speccing candidates out, you're going to start booking interviews. Now, to get to the point where you're doing 10 to 20k a month, making 1 or 2 placements a month, you need to be booking 3 interviews per week. Now, why I say 3 interviews per week is because we seem to think, or the market thinks, that 1 to 6 is the ratio for placement. So every 6 interviews that you book, you will have 1 successful placement where money goes into your bank. So over the course of the month, if you're doing 3 interviews per week, that's 12 interviews per month. So that should mean you're making 1, if not 2 placements every single month. And you're going to be doing this by obviously speccing candidates in, like I just said. If we could do 2 candidate specs per week, and that's where we'll find us superstar candidates, we'll go into the market, we're telling all the clients about them, we're sending their CVs, we're giving them the big sell over the phone, and then we're arranging interviews. Okay, so what I would be doing is I'd be speccing candidates out per week, and then every single candidate that I send out, I would be calling all the clients that I sent the email to and saying, have you seen that CV? And then you go into the cell talking about the person, why they should consider them, tell them their background, that type of stuff. And just by doing that, you'll start having conversations, you'll start booking interviews, and you'll start growing your business. Okay, so day 1 plan, what should you be doing? When you're just starting out, you need to try and build a database. You need a list of companies that are in your specific niche. You need to get their email addresses, their contact information, like their phone numbers, maybe you get their company address, SEO description, keywords, that type of stuff. You need just the contact information of key decision makers, and you need to know exactly what they do. So build a database of at least 300 companies, all similar type businesses. From there, do a little bit of research and go on Indeed. See what type of company, what type of vacancies these companies are posting for. okay? And then once you figure out the two sort of in-demand ones, go and post 10 free job adverts every single day, okay? Doesn't take a lot of time. Again, another low-hanging fruit, post 10 free job adverts, and you'll start getting some good applications come through. You're going to get 100 plus terrible ones, but you will get some decent ones. And again, scheduling LinkedIn posts, nice and easy to do. Go and do that. Candidate outreach. I wouldn't be getting on the phone to clients at this point. I would just be trying to speak to candidates, calling them from job boards like CV Library, telling them about roles, seeing whether you can work them and spec them out, trying to just generate really good candidates. And the whole point of our day one sort of plan, what we should be doing, is getting comfortable on the phone, trying to generate really good candidates, and just trying to build up a little bit of our social proof. Get candidates and clients aware that we actually exist and what sort of recruiter we are, what type of roles that we do work on. Move down a little bit more. And then you need to understand as well, because this is where most people are going to fail doing this. And like anything, when you just start out, you need to understand you are terrible right now. You're not going to be very good at what you do. You're going to get told no all day. You're going to have people tell you to get lost, don't call me again. You're going to stutter over your words. You're going to forget what you're saying. You're going to feel like an absolute idiot. But this is completely normal. You have to expect this. And if you can go into it with the mindset, I am going to get rejected a lot. It isn't going to be easy. And it's going to be a real long slog. But at the end of it, you are going to be making placements and you are going to be able to make a lot of money in recruitment. So embrace the rejection because it's coming. Learn from the feedback that you get. Develop your script. Develop your sell. Develop what feels comfortable to you on the phone and just keep building from there. And over time, that persistence of constantly getting better every single call will really start to pay off. And then, it might not take you 20 calls till you get a vacancy. It might only take you 10, and then it might only take you 5. And then all of a sudden, it's not so much hard work anymore. You only have to do 1 or 2 hours every single day to generate a few vacancies and potentially tens of thousands of pounds. So building our candidate pool, we're going to be doing this through job posting, candidate outreach, subscribe to job boards, that type of stuff. I'm not going to talk about it too much because we've already gone over it quite a bit. Now, in terms of getting clients, in reality, there's only a few ways you can do. You can do adverts, you can do cold outreach, you can do like referrals, like networking, but that's about it, okay? Now, what I would suggest you do is I wouldn't be going to stuff like, I know I've got here, attend industry events, join relevant associations, that type of stuff. Now, personally, I've never done any of that, okay? I know it works for a lot of people, so I've put it in, and people like to go and shake hands and all that type of stuff. But I think this is probably a waste of time for most of you. If you want to feel comfortable and you want to learn the lingo and you want to get out there, then absolutely go and do it. You could probably end up speaking on a stage in a year or two. But right now, when you're just trying to make money, your number one task should be getting on the phone, sending emails, sending LinkedIn messages, doing cold outreach. Because cold outreach is the way that you make money. If you manage to get a client on the phone, it's so much easier to sell them than what it is to actually get them on the phone. The hard part is getting them on the phone. It's not making the sell on the phone, okay? These clients, if they're in the market for recruitment and you do a specific niche and you can genuinely help them, they'll give you the vacancy. But for them to give you a vacancy, you actually have to get them on the phone. Getting them on the phone is the real problem, okay? And then once you start doing a good job for companies and candidates, that type of stuff, you'll start being able to ask for referrals. You'll start be giving referrals without you even asking. Candidates will say, oh, my mate's looking, can you sort him out? Clients have said to me before, my friend, he's got a few positions, could you help him with them? So over time, referrals will start coming in really strong. Now, unfortunately, recruitment isn't all making loads of money, wheeling, dealing, making placements. You're going to have to deal with rebates at some point. Now, I have been running my own agency now for 7-8 years, and I've never ever had to give a rebate back. I've never physically had to transfer money from my account back to a client. And the reason why is because once a client has actually made a placement with you and they paid you your money and a candidate ends up leaving within that first 3 months, you usually have to give a percentage back. Now, if they leave in like week 1, you probably have to give 100% of the feedback. By week 4, you're probably giving them 60, 50% back. And then it just goes on down until week 12 when they're probably only getting 10% back. Now, what I would suggest for you to do, if you don't want to ever give a rebate back, is offer your clients, when a candidate leaves, a free replacement, okay? Because once you've actually done the work of trying to find a candidate, you've probably generated a load of different candidates, and you probably have already built baskets for it, you've already done the process, you've posted job adverts, that type of stuff. So finding another candidate isn't a load more work. It is more work, but it's better than giving half the feedback. So what you need to be aware of, rebate periods exist. They're sort of like a money back guarantee should this candidate leave, but there's plenty of ways that you can work around a rebate to not have to give any money back. Excuse me. So get clear on what your rebate period is going to be, your fee structures, and you need to get this in your terms of business. Now, if you're doing temporary and you're doing contract, you need to be aware that you are going to be on the hook for paying the candidates. So if you place a candidate into a business, you are going to have to front that money to the candidate first, and then you invoice the client after. So you're going to have a payroll system set up. You're going to have to be really on top of your invoicing, collecting payments, credit control. You're going to have to be making sure that, you know, all your stuff like public liability insurance is in place. So you need to keep up to date with compliance and regulations. What I would suggest is you go and contact a back office solution provider, and they will be able to facilitate this for you. Now, just before I move on with the rest of the video, I want to just explain just one thing that I've got. So everything that I've got over here, job boards, back office solutions, CV library, all that type of stuff. I have a remote recruiter group where this isn't just where you get a course and its videos, that type of stuff. I've got a lot more deeper than that. What you actually get in this course, in this group, is you get a complete system. So we give you a recruitment CRM where you can manage all your candidates and your clients. We provide you total back office support, and you have weekly calls with one of the UK's biggest back office support providers to recruitment businesses. And they'll be able to help you with payroll, invoice factoring, credit control, even setting your business up. They'll do all the forms and everything for you. We'll provide you LinkedIn automation software so you're not spending 10, 20 hours a week sending messages on LinkedIn, and we'll show you how to use it. We've got 40 plus videos all about recruitment. You've got weekly coaching calls on everything about recruitment, including back office support, managing your team, growing your business, how to find clients. We provide you terms of business, contracts, cold call scripts, and a load of other things as well. And we also have another section where you can fill vacancies. So these are retained vacancies from my business that I provide to people within this group. And we also have another offer where from day one you can start making money. Okay, so even before you learn anything about recruitment, there's actually an offer where you can start calling people, pitching a type of offer, and you're getting paid like £100 per sale. And you could easily do 2 or 3 of these every day. So you can start making money straight away as well. You're able to share vacancies within the community so you can help fill roles faster. And we do actually have job board access for everybody joining. So CV library, they charge about £4 to £5 per credit. With us, we charge, I think it's £1.50 to £2 per credit. So we're like 50 to 60% cheaper than actually buying CV library independently. So just to summarise, we'll give you absolutely everything you need in terms of CRM, back office support. We'll give you 40 plus videos on how to actually do recruitment, weekly coaching calls, a community, all your scripts, contracts, that type of stuff. And then we're also going to give you opportunities for you to be able to make money inside this group as well. And at the moment, just go down here, it's only £399 per month, but this will be raised to £699. This is just an introductory offer. We're just launching it right now. So if you're interested, follow the links and all that sort of stuff at the end of the video. Now, back to it. So once you picked your niche and your sector and you're starting to do what you do, you want to start building a brand. So going in a particular sector, always advertising the same types of jobs, consistently messaging the same types of people, you're going to start building an online presence. You're going to start becoming the guy that people go to, your clients and your candidates. You're the man that they're going to come to when they want their role filled, when they need a new position, because you're going to be that guy who they constantly see on LinkedIn, who they always get messaged, who they always get called about, and who's always talking about the same types of roles that they're interested in. So build your own brand up, stay the course, and over time, in 1 or 2 years, all that hard work of being consistent will really start paying off. And you won't have to spend so much time doing sales calls and candidate calls. You'll actually have people coming to you, providing you with essentially money. Now, just a couple more things now. Obviously, you want a nice candidate experience and a nice client experience. You will lose candidates and clients like no tomorrow by just not communicating them. It's so easy to do. Just send them a text, an email, just keep them updated on what's actually going on. Yeah, I'll give you feedback in another 48 hours. The client's just thinking things over. Just be consistent with your communication, okay? Don't put it off, because this is where a lot of recruiters and salespeople go wrong, is they bury their head in the sand, they don't communicate, and they end up losing the client and the candidate. So just don't do it. Now, one of the biggest ROI activities you can do is prepping your candidates before the interview. So what I like to do, 1 to 2 hours before they go for an interview, maybe they're in the car, I call them and I remind them on absolutely everything about the company. I'll just re-jog their memory. I tell them who they're meeting, who the company is, what they turn over, what the projects they do, the things they're looking for from the next candidate, things you should be aware of, questions you should be asking them at the end of the interview. You just want to give them the best possible chance of getting that placement. And by doing that, you can probably reduce your ratio from like 1 to 6, maybe down to 1 to 3, just by prepping your candidate before they go for an interview. Now, once you place them, you want to provide some sort of like post-placement support. So call them on the day that they start, after a week, after 4 weeks, just check in on them, make sure everything's going well, and then you can always say to the client, how's John doing? Yeah, he's doing really well. Oh, brilliant. Are you looking for anybody else at the moment? It's always a nice, easy sell to get another vacancy from them. So just be consistent with your communication. Like I said here, managing your client relations is exactly the same. Just consistent communication over and over again. Tell them exactly why things are happening this way, what the candidate's thinking, what they should be doing. Be a recruitment consultant, not just a recruiter. Consult them on their recruitment process. And then, as I touched on earlier, you want to be scaling your business properly. So you need to be using automation as much as you can. Think about building a team. You can have virtual assistants and all that sort of stuff, but that will come later on down the line. But 100% you should be using things like LinkedIn Helper, Octopus CRM to automate as much of your business as possible. And like I said, if you'd be interested in having all this sort of stuff provided, you can go over to remoterecruitergroup.com and all this sort of stuff. You can book a call and we'll take you through all the process of how it actually works, how we're able to, give you all these videos, give you all this CRM, the ongoing support, a full back office operation, give you absolutely everything you need to be able to start your recruitment journey and grow your recruitment business. It's not just a normal course. This is way, way deeper than that. We want to actually really get you making money, because if you make money inside of this group, I make more money as well, because I'm going to be supplying you vacancies and other opportunities as well. So it's not just a course. If you'd be interested in this, I'm going to drop a few links below in the description. But to the next video, peace.